What's good, YouTube? It's your boy ATK Reacts back to the reaction, and today we're reacting to a film theory, and it's not no regular film theory. It's about Rick and Morty, bro, and I love Rick and Morty. Now these new seasons, well, the season before, not the new season, but one of the seasons, it was kind of mid, bro. But this new season, I feel like it's getting a little better again, so I'm happy about that. But we got to see what it's looking like. So if y'all are a Rick and Morty fan, I know y'all hype like me too, but hit that like button, hit that sub button, and let's get to this film theory. All right, y'all, this is film theory. The old Rick is dead. Rick and Morty, they saying Rick is deceased, bro. Now, honestly, I'm caught up, kinda. I ain't finished the newest episodes, but like I know they be like going through different dimensions. I don't know which Rick is which Morty is which. Honestly, if I'm being 100% honest, but we gonna see. Only 60 before he leaves. No. Mad about to leave us, dog.
The show that's also having its main character recast.
Wubba-lubba-dub-dub, am I right?
Oh, sorry about that. I had a lee in my throat. Today we're talking about Rick and Morty.
Pause?
Gotta be real with you.
Pause on that?
Craziness that was 2023. I almost missed that Rick and Morty came back. But now that I've gotten a chance to sit down and actually binge through the whole thing, I gotta admit that these have got to be some of the best episodes that the team has ever
Let's
delivered.
go. They got better.
Tough problem. Definitely spicy meatball, but we can fix it.
Including some huge moments of closure for these characters.
Thank you for visiting the fear hole, Morty. Your fear of relying on Rick has been delicious.
We even wrap up some major stories that previously probably would have been milked for entire seasons.
Why threaten? Why not just do it? Because using a weapon like this doesn't get
Can't
you
wait to
left
finish it, bro.
alone, Morty. Think I want a bunch of vengeful summers coming after me? Seriously though? You, don't come after me. It won't go well.
But you know me, sure, the new season's out, we have some laughs, we
evil,
shed some
Morty.
tears, but now it's time to do what we love to do at the end of every season of Rick and Morty, sit down and analyze the season's theme. Look at this batch of episodes and try to figure out what they were trying to tell us.
What I think I was on episode like, I don't even know. I was trying to see which one it was.
In case you missed our season 6 Rick and Morty theories, we charted out that Rick was clearly on an arc of healing, of confronting the grief that he felt over losing his original wife and daughter, and trying to move forward with a new found family. What's more, season 6 started to dabble with this idea of dissatisfaction, where we watch as everyone who gets what they want are ultimately left empty and unhappy, realizing that getting what you want sometimes isn't exactly what you need. Season 7, though, it takes these themes and ratchets them up to the next level. We see the climax of these character arcs about grief and dissatisfaction, and it shows us the consequences of the two ways that you can deal with grief, through good healing and bad healing. And through these stories, I believe that we can actually pinpoint who's going to be the next big antagonist for Rick and Morty in the coming seasons. That's right, loyal theorists. We are in the process of witnessing the birth of the next big Rick and Morty story arc, and it shows us who's going to be the big bad facing off against the family from the very first episode. Open up your portals, friends. It's time to jump in.
Let's get to it!
Season 7 of Rick and Morty, I highly recommend that you go and give it a watch. It provides some of the best episodes of the series, period. But it also gives us some of the most Rick and Morty-esque ideas ever to be put to screen. We're talking about planets filled with people who turn to spaghetti when they die, Rick and Jerry fusing together into one super being, generation-long wars between letters and numbers fronted by Ice-T himself. But on top of all the fun Adventure of the Week stories, Season 7 also brings together and wraps up some of the show's longest-running plot threads, the biggest ones being Rick Prime and Evil Morty. After spending his entire adult life hunting down the man that killed his family, the reason Rick is the way that he is, Rick and Morty finally are able to confront Rick Prime. And with the help of Evil Morty, of all people, they wind up winning. Evil Morty serves Rick Prime up hogtied on a silver platter and then leaves. And so of course, mind overtaken by rage,
Morty,
Rick goes ham, killing Rick Prime with his bare hands and a splatter of spaghetti sauce so brutal that it goes well beyond the point of YouTube monetization. At first glance, this seems like it should be the big climax of the series. I mean, the show's bringing in 4 of its biggest players and letting them duke it out, ending in the death of what's arguably Rick and Morty's main villain. But with the primary antagonist now off the board, the real villain of this series can appear, Rick's emptiness. In the wake of killing Rick Prime, Rick feels nothing. He realizes that completing this lifelong mission of vengeance hasn't really healed the part of him that's been aching. For years, he was given a motivation to track down Rick Prime and kill him, believing that this would be the magical thing that would help him feel better, the magical thing that could potentially bring Diane back. But now, without that target to distract himself, Rick has to sit there with his pain, knowing that he can never really undo this loss. This man, the smartest man in the galaxy who can heal any wound, who has taken down gods, who has brought himself back from the brink of death, now has to confront the one thing
we gotta get credit for.
The one thing that he can't just science into submission. And what's worse is that Rick Prime made sure to twist the knife on his way out, letting Rick know that he used a powerful super weapon known as the Omega device to erase Diane from the entirety of the multiverse. No matter where or when Rick goes, he can never, ever get Diane back. But perhaps the most interesting thing about this episode was its placement in the season. It's episode 5, right in the middle. You'd think that this would be the sort of thing that they would save as an epic climax to the season, but it's not, because putting it there would miss the point entirely. The battle that's the centerpiece of Rick and Morty isn't against Rick Prime. It was never against Rick Prime. It's against yourself. It's about finding a healing for your own emotional scars. The death of Rick Prime in the middle of the season allows the back 5 episodes to answer the really important question then, was any of this worth it? Sure, Rick got what he wanted, vengeance,
come on now, talk to me.
Actually do anything to heal?
This is what film theory
Clearly
for.
not in a way that left him satisfied. All in all, it was bad healing. It's surface level at best. It leaves Rick arguably in a worse place than when he first started, and it requires a now directionless Rick to find new purpose. And thankfully for him, he has all the necessary ingredients for good healing right in front of him. His family, and especially his grandkids. In the episode Rick Fending Your Mort, Morty checks in on a clearly depressed Rick and does his best to make him feel better by cashing in his Morty adventure cards, encouraging Rick to take him on another adventure just to get him out of his funk.
Not right now, Morty. Definitely next week.
I got care to watch this, bro. I love Rick and Morty.
I think I'm gonna give you a little nudge by cashing in a few of these bad boys.
Episode Wit Quat a Mortican Summer, Rick admits that he
respects
Summer
crazy titles.
partially because her headstrong personality reminds him of Diane.
I treat you like an equal because I respect you. Remind me of your grandmother.
All of this comes to a head in the season 7 finale, Fear No Mort, probably one of the top 5 episodes the show has ever produced, which sees Rick and Morty discovering a mysterious fear hole in a Denny's bathroom. A hole with the ability to manifest the greatest fears.
Why you at Denny's in the first place?
Inside.
That's what you
Though
messed
they
up.
initially decide to leave it alone, Morty rushes back in and jumps down the hole, with Rick following after to save him. They both fight off monsters until they're both able to escape from the hole. Later, when they arrive home, Diane appears out of a portal, and Rick and Morty soon realize that they're still stuck inside the fear hole. Rick thinks that because Morty's afraid of losing him to Diane, Morty thinks that his greatest fear is watching Rick die. Intent to get them both out of the fear hole, Morty continually faces his fears in an attempt to overcome them, but nothing works.
That would get me too.
Morty is irreplaceable.
Come on, you're irreplaceable.
That would get me too, that little spider,
This makes
bro.
Morty realize that this Rick, he isn't real. Rick never entered the hole after him. Morty's greatest fear is his over-reliance on Rick. Finally overcoming this true fear, Morty escapes the hole, awakening to find Rick watching him from the outside. This entire experience is a massive step forward for Morty, but it also winds up showing how far the positive healing has been for Rick. After Morty mentions that he saw Diane inside the hole, Rick runs back to it. And for a moment, it looks like he's gonna jump in to try and desperately hold on to Diane in any way that he can, just like we've seen him try to do over and over and over again in the series. But then Rick stops. Instead of jumping in the hole, he takes out a photo of Morty from his wallet and tacks it up onto the wall of victors, people who escaped from the hole. It's an act of pride in his grandson, this person who represents Rick's future instead of just always going back to his past. Rick is showing us that he's moved beyond just the empty bad healing that he'd been pursuing this entire time and is starting to work towards true good healing, deeper healing. And that's not the only thing that can help Rick heal. For the first half of the season, the show really focuses on the concept of bad healing, touching more characters than just Rick. For example, in the episode Air Force Wong, we see how President Curtis responds to a breakup by hijacking a hive.
President is funny, bro.
His approval ratings
I like
100%, because if he can't have the approval of the woman he loves, well, the rest of the United States will have to do.
Good president.
Oh my.
President. Good.
Ha, I get it now. Wow, what a president.
Oh my.
President approved.
This is the perfect example of trying to use external approval as a method for healing, something that ends up hurting both the person trying to heal as well as everyone around him. Similarly, in the season premiere, how Poopy got his poop back, we see how Mr. Poopy Butthole is dealing with the divorce. And let's say it's not going too well.
I agree, Beth. I'm a piece of garbage.
Instead of letting go of his ex-wife,
He's so funny,
creating a healthy new direction for his life to go in to support his son, Mr. Poopy Butthole goes on a bender with Rick and Hugh Jackman, ending up kidnapping poor Poopy Jr. The way he's trying to quote-unquote heal here is by holding on to everything that he lost, to the point that it ends up hurting the people that he cares about the most. Sound familiar? Well, it should. It's what Rick's been doing to the Smith family for the past 6 seasons. And as you'd expect, this sort of selfish coping ultimately doesn't turn out all that well for Poopy.
Yes, you didn't see season 4, episode 3. Let's go!
This is exactly what Rick would have done earlier in the series. Mr. Poopy Butthole is what Rick could have become, but he doesn't because of his family and all the good healing that happens after he kills Rick Prime.
character development.
All you have to do is look into the back half of season 7's episodes and you get your answer. For example, both those episodes I mentioned earlier where Rick leans on Morty and Summer to positively heal, they come after he kills Rick Prime. In Rise of the Numericons, we see the Alphabetrians and Numericons feel a rift between their people that's lasted for generations, all because two two of them realize that they weren't all that different with the help of Rick.
I think when we started getting it on, that amulet showed us the truth of our origins.
Father!
In Mort Ragnarok, Rick starts the episode trying to take advantage of Bigfoot to gain power, enough so that Bigfoot literally wants to kill Rick over and over. But by the end of it all, he finds common ground with Bigfoot and the two part ways on good terms.
Why are we at the woods?
That's Bigfoot.
Time to go on home, big fella.
Oh, okay.
You're free.
And of course, the fear hole represents the end of that growth arc. But my favorite example that I want to call attention to actually comes from the episode right before Rick kills Rick Prime. In it, we see a miniature version of this entire arc that Rick's on. In the season's standout episode, That's a Morty, we see a planet where those who choose to end their own life have their internal organs turned to spaghetti. Yep, that is really the plot, and trust me, they somehow find a way to make it work.
Why? How?
Their cortisol increases the starch content in their bloodstream, changing their intestines into one long spaghetti noodle.
But the most messed up part of this whole thing is that the spaghetti is delicious, and everybody wants to eat it, despite realizing where it came from.
Who's ready for more ethical spaghetti?
Yeah, they're so good. Has the Parmesan.
This ends up turning into big business for the planet, who then encourage more and more people to cut their lives short, all for their own profit. Truly, it is a messed up idea, but it's a brilliant commentary on how sometimes we can only see people as numbers, a source for content, feeding on their misery and self-destruction, literally finding their pain delicious, so we continue to inflict it and feed off of it. So then, where does the healing come in? Well, at the end of the episode, Rick and Morty broadcast the entire life of an old man, showing his pain, but also his ups, his downs, his loves, his heartbreak, his humanity. And afterwards, no one can stomach the spaghetti anymore. They suddenly see the people on this planet as more than just content. They see the beauty of the humanity in this situation, how relatable it all is, and suddenly everyone is able to heal. As for Rick, it's the seed that's the beginning of his choice to move forward in a healthy way, one that becomes all the more powerful given how far he's come. So that's everything that happened this season, but obviously it wouldn't be a Rick and Morty theory if we didn't also try to figure out where things are headed to next.
Okay, let's see
and
what next
I
is
believe
like.
that it all comes down to this little guy. I don't believe
Mr.
it's any
Poopy
coincidence that this season was bookended by Mr. Poopy Butthole. In fact, these episodes show just how far in the opposite direction he's growing from Rick and the Smiths. Not only did we see him try to kidnap his own child, as I talked about before, but in the stinger of the last episode, Mr. Poopy Butthole follows the darkest of paths, killing and replacing a separate Mr. Poopy Butthole from another universe to replace him, to live his happy life with his happy family. Sounds a lot like something Rick used to do, huh? Finding a new universe to start over in when everything falls apart in his life, resetting things back to a status quo so he never has to grow, never has to face his own pain. What's more, the series is gonna need itself a new antagonistic force now that Rick Prime is dead and evil Morty is off the table.
Remember when I stole my kid? I stole one of these too. It's all about having a goal and stopping at nothing to achieve it.
That is the role Mr. Poopy
His
Butthole
voice
is gonna be
making so
taking
funny.
here. In a similar way to how Rick Prime was the Rickest Rick, the person that most embodied the worst of Rick's traits earlier in his life, Mr. Poopy Butthole is gonna become the healed Rick's opposite. Someone who's felt a lot of the same pain, but goes about healing from it in the worst ways possible, hurting everyone around him. He'll embody all the bad healing that Rick himself used to embrace. In the end, Rick's ultimate test isn't his own healing, but whether he's able to teach others, his best friends, how to heal. But hey, that's just a theory. A film theory. And cut.
Yeah, I'll show that pasta that saying that nasty stuff, bro. Shout out to Film Theory. Make sure they pay that sub button, bro. I'm not gonna lie, with each Film Theory reaction, bro, it gets sadder and sadder knowing that he's soon about to be gone, bro. Like, he only got like 6 more episodes left or whatever it said. That's crazy. But yeah, I didn't finish the full Rick and Morty season. I'm about to go back and watch that now for sure, like soon now, because I'm more interested to seeing this. And Mr. Poopy Butthole going down the wrong path, that hurts my heart, bro. That's one of my favorite characters, you know. So we're going to see how that looks like. Y'all comment down below. Did y'all watch the new season of Rick and Morty? And if y'all did, what's y'all opinions on it, bro? But with all that being said, let me know what y'all want to see next. Hit that like button, that sub button. Your boy HK Reacts, and we out of here.